Politics gone wild. Looking ahead at 2024, President Biden this morning officially announcing his plans to run for re-election. The president making the announcement at about 6 this morning. He released a 3-minute video on the 4-year anniversary of when he declared his bid for the White House back in 2019. The president asking Americans to give him more time to, quote, finish the job, saying we're still in a, quote, battle for the soul of America. So let's talk about how that race is shaping up with Max Cohen of Punchbowl News, live with us to break it all down. Max, let's talk about this because, you know, even within his own party, you look at what the polls suggest, and about 70% of Democrats weren't hoping for this news.
That's correct. And I think what Joe Biden has done is said, listen, I'm the president. I'm running for re-election, and even though the polls might show the majority of his own voters don't want him to run, he is going to be his party's nominee in 2024. That much looks pretty certain right now. There are no credible challengers challenging Joe Biden right now could actually beat him, and we're going to see congressional members of the Democratic Party rally around him. And we've already seen 5 members of Congress on his co-chair team for his re-election campaign.
I heard about this whole, you know, nobody wants him to run, but if you're going to run, we'll get down with you, you know, in the Democratic Party. What do you say, since you're in the inside, Max, to those of us who are just kind of like, we don't like either of these people who are about to run for president? Can you give us some good news today?
I'm not sure if I can, if that's your stance, because I think what most likely, standing here today in April 2023, I think we're going to see a rematch, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. Both of these figures, you know, maybe not be nationally popular, but I think they're both in a very good position to win their party's nomination. And it's a situation where you're right. A lot of voters don't want to see the same familiar faces, but it's looking likely we're going to see another 2020 rematch in 2024.
And to your point, it seems as though the Democratic National Committee wants Donald Trump to be the nominee for the Republican Party, in part, Max, because they believe that he may be the only candidate that Biden can actually go neck and neck with. We know that Ron DeSantis has yet to announce his presidential campaign, but he's obviously doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and he's really the only other contender within the Republican nominee that has the numbers to potentially garner that nomination.
That's exactly right. And then we saw some polling just over the weekend, which showed, you know, while Trump was losing to Biden in some of these 2024 battleground states, Biden was actually running behind DeSantis. So, you know, although Republicans might be poised to nominate Trump, DeSantis has an argument to say, look, I'm the guy who can beat Biden. And of course, Joe Biden beat Donald Trump in 2020.
Yeah, if you listen to politicos, they would suggest that maybe on the Republican field, this DeSantis-Trump battle, if you will, kind of is reminiscent to the Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama back in the early days when they were neck and neck for the primary, and Hillary had a substantial advantage. A lot of people didn't know about Barack Obama, and yet he pulled through grassroots fundraising, etc. So it's really in the money. What do we know about these races financially right now?
Yeah, I think financially, Donald Trump received a huge boost when he was indicted by the Manhattan District Attorney just a couple of weeks ago. That really rallied around the Republican base around the former president. He got a big influx of cash. Of course, DeSantis isn't officially in the race yet, so he himself has not started fundraising, but there are a number of super PACs backing DeSantis's campaign, and they will have some major money. But as it stands right now, Donald Trump is the man to beat in the Republican primary field.
All right,
Thank you.
We'll be watching this one. And Max, really quickly, 6 a.m., does that say anything? Was that like supposed to be on the DL? Like, did nobody want to know that he was running? Like, why choose that time slot?
That's a great question. I don't know. You know, we're up pretty early for our newsletter at Punchbowl News, but I don't imagine many other Americans are. So who knows? Who knows what that was about?
I'm sorry.
Right.
Old people get up early.
Yeah, I know, but usually people find prime time when the ad dollars and all the eyeballs are to make a big announcement. But
he was up. He was up.
Max Cohen with Punchbowl News. We appreciate you coming on. Let's check out our DMV Zone Instant Poll question of the day. Should President Biden run for the second term? I do want to let our audience know this question has been up all morning long, so this is not something we just put up. 84% of you voting no right now. Scan that QR code, head to fox5dc.com/instapoll. We'll continue to check this throughout the day, but
everybody feels like me, Marina.
there's a lot of polling right now that's not in his favor, but the race is long. There's a long way to go.
True.
Stay with
Very
the DMV
true.
Zone.
You're right.
We're back after this.
You're right. It's just the beginning.